This program shows drugs being made, sold, and used. It features graphic content that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
We've been up 6 o'clock. Let's say we got like 5 shots. We ain't trying to do much. We're just trying to make our living good, that's all.
Wiley and Moe's crew hustle both heroin and crack cocaine in 5 West Baltimore neighborhoods.
You know, some days you might have a day when a heroin make all the money. Some days you might have a day when a ready make all the money. You might have days when both of them make all the money, and that's when you're really making money. We try to make at least off of all 5 blocks 10 grand a day. It's possible, you know. We take risks. That's why we got this right here. Yeah, do damage to you. Get a good look at this. You still smell the smoke on this. This just been used last night. Smell the burn. This ain't no fairy tale either. This all real life going down right here, man. Coming to you live from Baltimore.
Baltimore, a tough town facing hard times.
I'm trying to live a good life.
The steel factories are long gone. The docks are a shadow of what they used to be. Entire neighborhoods stand deserted. On the streets, people hustle to get by. And for many, the biggest hustle is heroin.
The city is where you want to be for heroin. You have to come to Baltimore.
The Baltimore hustle means different things to different people. For 29-year-old Lamb, it's a way to guarantee her high.
Normally, I buy about 10 pills a day, $100 a day. And that $100 means I can get high all day long if I want to.
Lamb has been a heroin addict for 8 years. And that means a daily trip to Baltimore's Hustle Row.
Most people start out on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Pennsylvania Avenue and Lexington Market stand at the heart of Baltimore's illegal drug trade. Lamb drives through twice a day on the prowl for a fix.
This is a very hot area. Like, there's cops down here all the time. Cops down here in cars, cops on foot, cops on your cover, cops in bushes. They're everywhere.
There are so many addicts coming into the area that the police are continually having to move them on.
You're gonna nod out, take your ass out.
To Lamb, this place is like a second home.
So when I started coming to buy drugs in Baltimore, I started down here. I would drive up and down through here waiting for somebody to yell at me. And then I'd pull over, get out, walk to their spot, and I'd buy from them.
Lamb's drug of choice is a Baltimore favorite.
Scramble's our main thing that we do.
If Lamb doesn't get a fix of scramble every 6 hours, she'll get dope sick.
Please answer. If you don't answer, I'll call the other guy.
In a stash house around the corner from Pennsylvania Avenue, Wiley and Moe are also on the hustle, mixing up their own brand of scrambled heroin.
It's a fine scramble right here, man. Good.
Wiley and Moe's signature cut is morphine.
That's the morphine. That's the morphine.
Just shifting it through, mixing it all together.
Make sure you get all the clumps and lumps all of it. The morphine takes that monkey off your back.
Demand for heroin in Baltimore is now so high, dealers use black market morphine to bulk out their supply.
Strain a few more times, make sure we'll get a good mix.
The result is scramble.
Yeah, that's already made right there.
For Wiley, the heroin hustle isn't about getting high, it's about getting rich.
We ain't no Robin Hoods, because we ain't stealing from no rich. We sell them to the poor.
By mixing heroin with cheaper drugs like morphine, they can increase their profit tenfold.
It's hard out there on the streets for brothers like us, man. So we gotta do what we do to maintain and make money, to feed our children, to eat and survive. You know, walk the streets with our head up, you know?
Once cut with morphine, this 2-kilo bag of scrambled heroin is now worth around $500,000 on the street.
It's one of my.
But to maximize profits, the mix has to be right. Too strong and it could kill someone. Too weak and no one will want it.
Yeah, we got testers. You give out testers every time you bring something new out. So whatever my man scramble it up and do what he do, I take it and ground the few things up and give them testers to make sure our product is good. Dope is on numbers, all about numbers. If I ask a dope fiend what the dope is like on a 1 to 10, he tell me a 9 or 10 is a go. He tell me a 3 or 4, I got to take this back to the table and tell my man he got to do a better job. Quality's the norm. That means if you take some of this right now, you be on your ass.
Like any business, it's all about the brand.
Our name is everything.
And Wiley's brand is very popular with addicts like Lamb. Lamb has bought her scramble and finds a quiet place to shoot up.
There's little teeny tiny, it's like little pieces of sand, gritty stuff in there. That's the raw that they mix in with the scramble. And a clean needle. Crack this bad boy open.
Lamb has been craving this all day.
I'm starting to really sweat. Like, the cramps haven't started yet, but I'm starting to sweat like a whore in church. Take it. Just suck it right back up. And it all sucks right up. Right in here. Oh, I'm on. If all the blood's shooting up like that, that means you're on. And pull back one more time. And that's it. That's like the best feeling in the world right there. Oof. It's really good today.
When injected, the scramble takes effect in seconds.
Wow. It's like this giant tingly wave.
And it immediately kills the dope sickness.
I haven't got the stomach cramps yet, but I feel like that whole sweaty, gross feeling's gone. And I feel like I feel like I won the lottery. I feel like $1 million right now.
This $1 million feeling has created a $1 million black market that's overwhelming local law enforcement.
Just turned on Pennsylvania Avenue. One of the former mayors of Baltimore City estimated that over $10 million a year is made off of this single strip from heroin.
DEA agent Duke Ellington and his team have been called in to help Baltimore PD tackle the city's growing heroin problem. They're on the way to a bust.
Typically when they're running drug shops, everybody's looking for the police because they know that that's our job, is to go out and to arrest and try to disrupt these drug organizations and these drug shops.
Baltimore's 60,000 addicts make for an extremely lucrative market. And to cash in, the dealers have developed highly sophisticated operations.
In Baltimore, a typical heroin shop consists of many people. Generally, you're going to have one person at the top. He's going to be the individual who's responsible for actually making the deals.
Wiley runs his crew of 25 with an iron fist.
I only trust myself.
Wiley divides his crew into 5 gangs of 5. Each gang runs a corner where they sell Wiley's product. But even the amount they sell is regulated by the crew boss.
Every pack I make is 25. Every fiend I give them to, they get 1 pack apiece. $250, they bring us back. $200, they keep the $50. And it's a constantly everyday basis. Like, they'll sell this pack right here no less than 10 minutes. So every couple of hours, we're making a couple of grand, point blank simple.
Generally, a pack will consist of 25 pieces. The reason it's 25 pieces is because several years ago, the city, Baltimore City, made a law where if you have less than 30 pieces, then it's not counted as a distribution charge.
Don't give a on the police. They do their job, we do our job. Our job is to stay away from them, outsmart them. Their job is to catch us, and that's what they get paid for, and this is what we get paid for. Yeah, matter of fact, why you hear that, police?
Lexington Market is one of the longest-running food markets in the world, but these days, the area has gained a reputation for drugs. The DEA and police units are in position for a bust.
Give us one more minute just to make sure we're trying to scope out the lay of the land here.
Searching now, stand by.
We're just making sure everybody's in position so we can, before we send in the undercover.
Duke is concealed in a specially converted surveillance van, right in the middle of the action.
Looks like there's a lot of activity out here right now, and you can see even though we have a marked police unit with the lights going on, they're dealing drugs basically right in front of them. It's pretty brazen. The drug activity goes on an hourly basis, second by second, and here they are out there, dealing these prescription pain medications pretty much right in front of them. The prescription medication is a known quality, where oftentimes the heroin is not known quality because it's not controlled, where the prescription medication is controlled. So if they have money, oftentimes the heroin addicts will come over here and purchase the prescription medication.
The undercover agent, or UC, is sent in to buy the drugs.
All right, that looks like the UC is out. UC's out on foot, so everybody heads up. The undercover's walking eastbound on Saratoga. Heading down toward us right now.
With so many dealers armed, undercover work is highly dangerous.
All right, I got the UC in sight. UC is southbound on UC is in the area, get good visuals. Right next to us.
The undercover agent is only yards away. He doesn't have to wait long before he is approached and offered drugs.
Contact with two individuals, good conversation. Black male, black long sleeve shirt, blue jeans. All right, talking to him.
If the dealers suspect anything, the UC could be shot within seconds.
Description again, black male, goatee, and he's in the store. It might be happening in the store, stand by. Good conversation inside the store. Sounds like they're negotiating price.
The deal has been done, and the undercover agent gives the signal to arrest the dealer.
T-shirt. All right, UC's out. His hat is off, so UC's out, hat is off. All right, the black male's out. Everybody keep an eye on the black male. He's on his way. Coming to you.
The takedown is so swift, it even catches Duke by surprise.
Are you having in custody?
The dealer wasn't hustling heroin, but these prescription pain medications, known heroin substitutes.
I gave him 160. He gave me Suboxone, Percocet, and 2 bars.
Since the federal crackdown on prescription abuse, pills like these are hard to find, but not this time.
Prescription pills are an epidemic right now, and they really go crazy with saying it because people.
When the dealer saw a new face, it seems he figured he was selling to a novice.
I just thought he was dumb. That's all. I thought he was dumb. I said, he took my hand, I'm like.
He even offered the undercover some friendly advice.
Described what to take and what not to take. He said to take the Percocet with the Xanax. It'll make you feel good. But don't take the Suboxone with the Xanax because you'll throw up.
It's a classic Baltimore hustle. Win trust to lure the rookie back for something stronger.
once you start with this, it may lead to the heroin aspect because there's not enough opiates in here to get a high. And that's where you build your tolerance and you start taking more and more scripts. At some point, you start going, wow, I need a better high, and you go on to the heroin.
Abuse of prescription pills has created a whole new generation of heroin addicts.
This is a very common theme, not just here in Baltimore, but all across the country.
The heroin hustle has never been greater. Duke examined some recently seized product.
This is a kilo of heroin that was seized in Baltimore City. The individuals buying this kind of quantity right there are at the top of the food chain. It's very similar to a business, how a business runs. You have just as a business, you have different levels of, a CEO all the way down to a salesperson, and it's kind of that same mentality. It's a business, it's just an illegal business.
For those behind the trade, business is booming.
If you got $1 million worth of product, you can make $1 million in Baltimore.
Clement is one of the kingpins who runs Baltimore's drug trade.
Some people hustle to get the minor things, and some people hustle to get the bigger things. But the bigger the hustle, the bigger the risk.
And to minimize the risk, Clement only deals with a handful of crew bosses.
Everybody in the world can think you're a drug dealer, but everybody in the world can't know. So like if, oh, he the man, he on top, they can think what they want. But if they've never seen you physically out there or doing anything like that, they don't know. You keep your contacts and the people you talk to limited, because this is cannibalism. This is Doug East Doug world.
By keeping a low profile, Clement has survived in the drug trade for over 30 years.
And it started for me when I was about 9. At 9 years old, I was selling marijuana to my teacher in elementary school. Right after high school is when I really turned on to the harder stuff.
It's taken 3 decades for Clement to work his way to the very top. And now he only deals with the purest product available.
Your best money in Baltimore is from raw. So it's not best here to buy scramble. The best money is from raw.
Raw heroin comes into the United States from Latin America, Asia, and West Africa. It arrives in source cities like New York, Atlanta, and Houston. It's then distributed to consumer cities like Baltimore. While Customs and Border Protection searches the ports of entry, drug traffickers like Clement are bringing it in by road.
Majority of the time for us, we took trips up 95. Straight to NYC. God love them. The more you buy, the more you're gonna get. So if I come to you and I say, I need a whole key, and I give you straight cash, and I'm a repeated customer, somebody that you have a rapport with and trust in. Because you want that money, you're gonna throw me an extra one or a half of one.
Once it comes to Baltimore, eventually it'll make its way down to street level, so from wholesale down to retail.
Duke is heading towards the site of another corner heroin shop they recently busted. It was a highly complex operation that took months of surveillance work to close down.
We find oftentimes, which is often frustrating for us and law enforcement, is we'll shut a shop down, and then because there's so much profit to be made in this, somebody else will step in.
Like any retail business, location is key. In Baltimore, certain corners are well known among users, and these corners are fought over by dealers.
It's very difficult to completely wipe out a shop.
Duke needs to check out if another crew has already taken over this corner.
As we pull up here, this is the general area where the shop was running. It looks like there's a few people out. We're going to take a walk down into the hole and see what it looks like as of today.
Police surveillance cameras were essential in gathering evidence to bust this corner. Footage shows heroin addicts lining up at 6 a.m., waiting for the heroin shop to open. Along the street is the man in charge of the drug operation, the lieutenant.
The individual who was running this operation had two other similar operations or shops in the immediate area. He was making between $5,000 and $7,000 a day just from this one shop.
The lieutenant has a guy to hand off the drugs to the addicts, the hitter or the pitcher, and another guy who collects the money. With his team in place, the lieutenant gives the signal, and the drug shop opens down the alley, out of sight of police cameras.
The customers would come down here. Typically, the hitter, the person who was distributing the heroin, would perhaps be right around here. As we look around here at the surrounding buildings, very high buildings and very difficult, secluded from every which way. Very safe area for them to do their drug dealing. So oftentimes, as we said, the pitcher would be here, the money man might be over here.
While the drug shop is open, lookouts watch out for the police. The addicts move fast. They know the two rules of the corner. Keep your stash small and keep it hidden.
There'll be a limited amount of drugs, a limited amount of heroin that's back here. The heroin, they might stash the heroin perhaps right here. You know, that's what we call a ground stash. Just in case, by chance, if the police did roll in, it would be difficult to find where it is. The ground stash could be anywhere. It could be behind this fence here. They might put the pack of heroin, they might put it in this gas tank here.
Duke and his team raided this corner hours after this footage was shot.
I'm looking around here to see currently if there's any type of evidence that would be indicative that the shop is still going on here. I'm looking for small Ziploc baggies. Once they're done, sometimes what we see is they'll just throw the baggie on the ground. Still here. This would indicate that there is still some drug activity in the area. The vials could be used for heroin or for crack cocaine or for cocaine powder. Even though we shut down the heroin shop several months ago, clearly there's still some activity out here, drug activity in this area.
Despite the police operation, this corner, along with countless others across the center of Baltimore, is still in business.
You're supposed to worry about the police and always look for them. See where they are.
Chuck sells heroin from a corner only a few blocks from where the police raid took place.
If you don't see them, that's when you worry. Because you don't know where they at. Yeah? They watch.
Still here in this trap, selling smack, but I ain't supposed to be waiting for it.
For some in Baltimore, drug dealing is more than just a business. It's a way of life.
Couple hundred G's so I can get up out the hood and feed my family legally.
I believe that everyone who's ever born is a hustler. If you got a job, you hustle. Everything is a hustle.
I'm standing right here on the pavement.
25-year-old Chuck has been selling drugs on street corners for 9 years.
I ain't supposed to be.
I started doing it because I saw the money. My money on my daughter, I saved it. I'm about to buy a car.
Chuck prefers his normal job.
My other job is a cleaner. I work for a cleaning company. Make $15 an hour. Go into work at 7:30, might not get off at 11:30. I like the job better. I like working better. I don't want to do this all my life.
Chuck isn't getting enough money from working legally for what he desires, and he chooses to sell drugs.
No, we don't sell dope. So there's big business everywhere. Baltimore, this is where all the dope is.
He has two options: work freelance or work for somebody else.
You do it however you want to do it. You can go directly and buy the paint. You can buy your own stuff, get it, cut it yourself, and keep your profit because you bought that and paid for it. Or you can get it from somebody else and you owe them money. You gotta pay them back.
Both options are risky. Your crew can turn on you in the blink of an eye. This DEA footage shows a hitter being confronted by his colleagues. Lucky for him, they let him go.
Don't trust nobody. Everybody do something corrupt. Everybody. Your mother, brother, everybody, anybody. You never know.
If your hustle goes wrong, you pay the price. This time it was a pistol whipping, but it can get a lot worse.
Life is definitely cheap in Baltimore. I know a lot of people got shot. Some live, some die. Somebody kill you for free.
If I got beef with you, I got beef with you. I'm not gonna send my brother, my uncles, my father, my homeboys. I'm gonna do that myself. So when I see you, I'm gonna blow your head off.
Ty and his crew of 5 work a single corner.
We making money right now the best way that we know how, man. Like it's in this game right now.
They run a one-stop shop that sells a variety of different drugs, not just heroin.
Scramble dope right here. Salva diesel, weed. We got some raw dope right here. It's probably about 15 grams. And ready rock, crack. And we got some more scramble.
I'm all about money, money, money. Gotta get money, money, money.
You got your good days and you got your days, man.
I done had enough, but I still keep pushing.
You know what I mean? Like, some days you might make $10,000 a day. And then the next day you turn around, you make 500.
But I got it in the bag.
If you buy 10 grams of raw dope at $75 a gram, that's $750. You scramble it, you turn the $750 into probably 5,000 or better if the dope is a missile. If we got some heroin, that's a missile, man. Like, they take a hit of that, especially if they shoot them and they go out. Like, yeah, we gonna make a lot of money because that's what the fiend's looking for. They looking for that that's killing people, man.
If someone overdoses on your heroin, it usually means the dope is purer, and the demand from the addicts will increase.
You gotta have corner men, you got to pay hitters, you got to have 2-3 different shifts, and then when you get the money and it's coming in so fast, you got to count the money, you got to pay all these. At the end of the night, it's just like a hassle. But the heroin money is a lovely thing, man.
It takes a killer instinct to survive Baltimore's heroin trade.
Well, mine, I understand. I love violence.
Toucan acts as Ty's enforcer. He protects their money and drugs and has done time for murder.
There's no getting around it. I knock on your door, come to your job, I wait for you, the police. It don't matter. I love it. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Lieutenant Ty isn't afraid of using extreme violence to protect his turf.
I'm not shooting at the body. I'm aiming all head shots. Nobody wants to get shot. Nobody wants to go to jail. But if it happens, it won't happen. I chose this life. I know what the come with this life, and I'm gonna take the consequences that come with this life.
The addicts also have to deal with the consequences of being in the game.
I need money. I need like at least $100 to sustain my habit every day.
And for Lamb, this means hustling night and day to feed her habit. She cruises the strip looking for business.
They call it hacking. It's kind of like a illegal taxi service. Sometimes, like now, I can catch strippers coming out of work, and they got lots of money on them. They get paid cash, so usually give strippers rides home. Sometimes it's just people coming from the bar. I give them a ride back to their home, wherever they want to go. They pay me, and I never see them again. I get so tired of hustling. Like, some days I just want to lay in bed and sleep all day, but I can't do it. I have to go out and make money. Like, I need money.
Like many addicts, Lamb is slowly getting sucked into the sex trade to pay for her habit.
I danced from about January 2007 till Valentine's Day of 2009. Danced for about 2 years, and I really liked it there. I made really good money there, but I gained weight, so that's why I haven't been back dancing.
With her money-making options drying up, Lamb is on the brink of full-on prostitution.
I got sugar daddies that just give me money on weekends. Every Friday and Saturday, the same old man gives me a good sum of money. One man was a lawyer. He used to have me go to this real shady hotel. He'd have me come over there. He paid me $350 for the hour, and all he wanted me to do was beat him up. No sex. Beat him up, burn him with cigarettes, smack him around. That was his thing. Kind of weird, but that $350 got me through like 2 days.
Lamb spends a lot of time on Hustle Row, but she grew up on a farm in the country. She is a part of a new generation of heroin user, white middle-class addicts who head into the city to hustle and score.
Word of mouth means a lot in this business. And people gonna come from east, west, south, north, out of state. The worst thing about having the best product is once it is out there that you have the best product, the police are now on you. They everywhere. It wasn't like that until the white people really started getting addicted to it. As long as the black people was addicted to it, you had little hole-in-the-wall places you could go. But the problem became when the white people started coming further out from different counties into the city to get high. Started getting mugged, started getting killed, like that. That's when it became, oh, we got a problem and we need to address this. Something has got to be done.
Federally and locally funded, Harford County Narcotics Task Force combats mid to high-level dealers and the traffickers who supply them.
Okay, we just got the tracker live again. He made a couple stops coming up from the city. He just left the location about 10 miles south of here.
Lieutenant Lee Dunbar is trying to stamp out a worrying new trend, the rise of the commuter dealer.
With dealers in general, they go down and pick up their supply. If they've got customers between that location in the city and where they live up here in the county, they're gonna hit them all. And he made multiple stops in the city, which could have been him meeting his dealer or dealers, and then the stops that he made beyond that, we believe could be potential customers. So we're staging right now near the Baltimore County and Harford County lines. As soon as he comes in, the uniform, which is actually right here in front of you, will be conducting the traffic stop and we'll have the canine. Hopefully we get an alert with the canine, then we can search the car and hopefully recover whatever heroin he may have left on him.
After the sniffer dog has given a positive reading, the driver and the passenger are asked to leave the vehicle.
Just keep your hands dark and safe, man. Well, so right now you're just being placed under arrest.
Harford police have stopped a suspected commuter dealer. The vehicle is thoroughly searched.
Cotton and possibly heroin residue in the compartment on the side of the door. I got one here door. I'm gonna have to look at the identity of some of these pills in here. So far, 2 needles, a spoon. It smells like marijuana. We got a couple pills, miscellaneous pills in here. He's gonna look.
Like, we guys do Drugs Inc. or something like that? Really? That's pretty cool because I watch Drugs Inc. a lot.
They got the needles, the spoon there to cook it on, and then we have an unknown liquid right here we're not sure of, but we obviously have this bottle right here contains some pills, but we don't think they're any type of prescription pill. It might be something over the counter. We'll have to look into that further. And then we have a little bit of a residue here in the cap, which could possibly be heroin, but we wouldn't know until we would test that up.
There is no evidence of dealing, but someone is definitely using heroin.
It's as easy to get drugs as it is to get a pack of cigarettes at the gas station. And that's anywhere around here.
The abuse of pharmaceuticals has impacted not only the city, but also on the counties.
I started out on prescription drugs, and you know, just it's cheaper to get heroin, you know, and that's just, it's a terrible thing. No pun intended, but it's more bang for your buck. It's not like we ever choose this life. It's not like we want to live like this, you know. It's sad because I've lost a lot of good people to this. You know, obviously I'm sitting here in cuffs because of it, so.
That's my go-to right
you know,
there. I know I'm probably like boring at you right now, I'm sorry.
It's just not worth it.
As you can tell from talking to them, it's a problem. It's an epidemic. And, you know, I think that, you know, they're doing what they're doing because the addiction's so strong. They're feeding that addiction, and at the same time, they're looking for help. It's a sad story, but unfortunately, it's a story we deal with pretty much on a weekly, if not a daily basis here in the county.
The suburbs are becoming infested with teenage heroin addicts.
Now, guess what? Now they out here with the white folks with the big houses. It's not just in the hood money no more. It's bigger than that.
This growing new suburban heroin market is motivating younger dealers to join the game. And the heroin hustle is on the move.
Once you get out there, see, the charges and the risks are bigger, but the reward is too.
By supplying local dealers with his product, Clement plans to move in and take over.
Like what you sell in the city for $10 or $20, might be $50 to $100 out there. So now they like, I'm gonna take my chances out there.
Most dealers know that if you get caught up here with possession with intent to distribute heroin or distribution of heroin, you're going to go to jail for a long time. Our theory is, you know, cut the head off of the snake and the rest of the body dies.
The task force is now targeting a blonde 24-year-old woman. On the face of it, she's nothing like Clement, but now shares the same mindset, the hustle.
We're going to meet with a confidential informant who's made a buy from our target and pass, is willing to go ahead and make another buy for us. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Did you talk to her?
Yeah, like an hour ago.
Okay, she's going to hit you up when she gets home and we're good to go in. So you don't know where she's coming from, though? You think she's coming from the city?
Yeah, probably downtown.
Okay, so we'll be watching the whole way. You barely even know we're there. Everything set?
You don't want to sit on the house, right?
The informant waits in his car outside the suspected dealer's house, watched closely by officers of the narcotics unit.
I'm out of anywhere to or from this car. I can see his head moving around.
Hey, Ryan, you think we should pull him out of there and have him hit her up again and see what the hell's going on? Or, let him sit?
He is still just sitting in the car.
The police are getting anxious. The deal is taking too long.
She's taking a while. I don't know why.
If the CI's cover is blown, the whole operation could fail.
She's going to be right out, so she's saying she's coming right outside. She should be out here in a minute.
All right. Sounds like the target just texted back the informant so that she'll be right out. But I'm a little concerned. It usually doesn't take that long.
If discovered, informants or snitches can be killed.
All right, my phone stopped working. She's out.
Okay, she's out.
Moments later, the suspected female dealer steps out of her house. She doesn't appear to be armed.
She's leaning into the passenger window. Looks like it's gonna be quick.
Leaning into the passenger side window.
Yep, they're done.
Deal's done.
She's walking back to the apartment.
She's going back inside the apartment, and he's rolling out. So we'll go meet the informant. Buy's done. We'll go meet the informant at the predetermined location.
The informant hands over the drugs to the officers.
Costs us $50. We can typically get that for about $10 to $20, especially down in the city. We got ripped off a little bit, but it really doesn't matter. We still got the heroin buy out of the house, so that's the probable cause we needed.
As soon as they get a warrant to enter the house, the police make their move.
We're heading over to the target location. We have intelligence that they may be in possession of a weapon. We want to get in there as quick as we can. The main reason is for officer safety, but our secondary reason is for evidence preservation. They'll flush it, throw it out, crush it, whatever they can do.
The agents quickly move in before the suspects can arm themselves or flush their drugs.
Get us a couple bodies here. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! There's somebody else fled back here. There.
The house has signs of drug activity, and there are 4 potential customers inside.
See, they're here using right now. Right there on the table, it is broken up. Be careful, there's some loose material on the table.
The female target was about to hustle heroin to 2 other young addicts as the police moved in.
She was coming back here to hit these dudes off. She dump it. Got it right there. Perfect. Our primary target, Jessica, she had 2 bags of heroin here, just like we had purchased before in her, to show you a little bit of the users she was going to meet. He had this sitting right in his hand as well while he was in the car, the shooting up kit here. He had $40, which is right in line with the 2 bags that he was going to purchase.
The operation has been a success. The police have 6 suspected users in cuffs and 3 ounces of cut and packaged heroin.
We were able to catch them red-handed. I mean, we're catching them right in the middle of the deal. We recovered the drugs after the foot chase from the main target, and then we made entry in the house. We had a few customers and users in there. We were able to get the drugs, the packaged material, the money, and that O sheet's a great piece of evidence. It's a list of names of her customers and how much money they owe her.
It's enough to put the suspected commuter dealer out of action.
I'm addicted to heroin, and I sell a couple bags to support my habit, pay my bills, and eventually your luck runs out.
If convicted, 24-year-old Jessica will face up to 20 years in prison.
What people make in a 40-hour paycheck, I can make in 3 or 4 hours selling, and then, who wouldn't want that money? You make 300 working 40 hours, I make 300 in 2 hours. It's just, it's the money, really. It's all about the money.
While the profits remain so vast, there will always be dealers like Jessica, unable to resist the heroin hustle.